Welcome to the Bootleg Football Podcast. As you can see, we're no longer in downtown LA. I have moved recently, so the background's a little bit different, but my good buddy EJ Snyder, my wonderful co-host of several years at this point.
Several being almost 6?
Does not feel like we've been doing this show that long.
No, it does not.
He took the 18-ish hour drive down the coast to drop off a housewarming present at my new place of residence, which is not in downtown LA, which means it's a lot easier to get to because getting anywhere or from anywhere to downtown LA or getting from downtown LA to anywhere takes forever. But EJ came by, dropped off a little housewarming present, and went to Chiefs Chargers. Yep. And now we're going to recap what we can about Week 4, specifically with various quarterback situations that have either deteriorated or gotten way better over the last month or so. Before we kick things off, though, EJ, you had never actually seen Patrick Mahomes play live and in person.
That's true. I've never seen him on the field. Obviously seen him quite a bit on the screen. That was a treat. And SoFi, when it's not 100 degrees, also a treat.
Yes.
Such a better stadium experience. Great stadium experience. If you ever get the chance to go to SoFi, I would highly recommend it. Try and do it a little bit later in the season so it's a little bit cooler, but great stadium. The game was better than we expected. We'll talk about that later on, but excited for today's show because we're going to basically take everything we saw in Week 4 and kind of look at it through the quarterback development lens and sort of make that our thread, which is a pretty exciting way to look at the league because, look, it's the most important and impactful position in sports.
It's all about situations, and I think that was the general theme of the first month of the season is that situation is everything when it comes to quarterback, other than a very small number of situation-proof quarterbacks, i.e. Patrick Mahomes being one of them. The Chiefs have not played very well, and they're still 4-0. They are the best situational team. I'm not talking about like situation for the quarterback, but I'm talking situations in-game. They're the best situational team in football. Yep. They don't make mistakes, at least at crucial times for the most part, and they capitalize on everybody else's mistakes. They're the kind of team where you could be playing super well, and then all of a sudden they hit Xavier Worthy for a bomb, and then they get a 4th down stop inside their own 5-yard line, and that's it. That's the game, right? Like they're the type of team that they will bog you down, and they'll make the 3 to 4 plays they need to make, and they'll make sure that you don't make those 3 to 4 plays, and that's it. You lose. But the situation around Patrick Mahomes is not ideal compared to early on in his career. They lost Rashee Rice to an injury that, as of now, we're recording this on Monday morning-ish. It's like mid-morning Monday, so
yep.
I don't know when this is coming out, but we don't have an official word of what Rice's injury was, but it looked bad.
Looks like ACL.
So bad.
Yeah.
Hollywood's also injured. Worthy has, again, had a couple splash plays here, but he hasn't been like a consistent driver of the offense. It's more so like, we need one big play. Let's see if he can give it to us. And some weeks he has, and some weeks he hasn't. They still won anyway. Travis finally had his first big game because they absolutely needed him to. And the run game has been iffy.
Again, you've got injuries. Your lead back is out with a broken leg. You're now relying on the ghost of Kareem Hunt. And
still getting 4 yards of carry.
He played pretty well behind that line yesterday. I mean, a lot of backs would, but he did, and that makes a difference. And it feels to me like the Kansas City Chiefs play like Patrick Mahomes runs. It's always just fast enough. It's always just past the marker. Doesn't look great necessarily, but when you look down at the end, you're like, well, he got the first down. Well, they got the win, and it's just enough. They're going to do just enough to win situationally. They're going to make one less mistake or 2 less mistakes, and they're going to come away. It might not be pretty. A lot of times it isn't pretty, but the W's count the same.
This is the kind of team, though, that really kind of hammers home how valuable Mahomes is, because it is a situation that probably 29 out of 32 quarterbacks in the NFL couldn't make work. And I would say at least half the quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks in the NFL, would be 0-4. Like, truly would be 0-4. And there's a group of them that would be like 2-2. There's a couple that would be 3-1. There might only be one that's 4-0, and it's him, right? So he is one of the only situation-proof guys in the league, but then you have a whole collection of very good quarterbacks around the NFL. Not to transition too quickly, but I feel like it's the best segue we're going to get. That situation obviously does matter a lot, and they were busts in their original destination to a degree, some more than others. And then they bounce around the league, and then they get to a situation that finally suits them. And now, I mean, literally 3 of the 4 NFC divisions are being led by Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, and Sam Darnold, who were all cast-offs from either the Jets at one point or the Browns, or in some cases the Panthers for both of them. And I think this weekend, if you take the Patrick Mahomes of it all out of it, this weekend really hammered home the point that a lot of quote-unquote busted quarterbacks were only busts because they got drafted to bad organizations. And even then, like, I'm not even sure Baker was really like a bust in Cleveland. Like, they won a playoff game. He played well. His only crime was that he played through injury. And, you know, I don't know what was going on in the building or in the locker room, but clearly, like, the higher ups weren't super happy with him in the building. And there was a rift. There was like the Odell's dad stuff. Like, I don't entirely know what was going on there, but he was a good quarterback that they jettisoned. And then he was kind of wandering through the wastelands for a couple years, lands in Tampa. And whether it's with Canales or Liam Cohen, he's playing the best ball he's ever played in his life. So I don't necessarily think it's Baker's fault. I just think if he went to a better situation from when he was a rookie, he probably would have looked like this a lot earlier.
And we talk about this all the time, that situation and landing spot are important for all players, but especially for quarterbacks. And even if you look at Mahomes, he is good. He is the way he is now because of where he landed. Stable coaching situation, didn't have to play right away, gets developed under one of the best modern coaches in the NFL, and then they allow him to do all the things that he can do, bring all his gifts to the field. And the guy across from him yesterday, Justin Herbert, also a very talented quarterback, has had a rockier ride. First year, great OC. Shane Steichen sets a bunch of rookie records. Everybody says, all right, he's here, he's legit, he's hit. He gets some changes. The offensive line's generally been a mess for his entire time in LA. He gets pounded. He falls off that pedestal, starts into a trough. Now he gets to bounce back under a different regime with Harbaugh and Roman, who are going to reemphasize rebuilding the offensive line. They already have. They don't have all the pieces yet, but they're getting there.
When they're healthy, they're great.
Right. Reemphasizes the running game, which is going to take more pressure off the quarterback's shoulders, and we'll probably see a Justin Herbert reemergence over the next 2 or 3 years. They sign into the big contract. Now they're going to support him in a different way. So he's kind of had the high, the low, and now hopefully he's going back up to a high again. But you look at guys like Baker, Darnold, Geno, Carr, all these guys have been cast off from their original teams, ended up in another place, had limited success, and now this season, they're all having a lot of success. You talked about Baker, but we got to talk about Darnold, one of the biggest stories of the early season. We thought
amazing.
We thought under the best possible circumstances, what's happening right now was still probably impossible. Like, that was a 1% outcome. Leading the league in touchdowns, leading or 7th in yards, 1st in TDs, 1st in rating over 50 attempts, 3rd in completion percentage over expected. He is balling out under Kevin O'Connell, and the Vikings now have a match for that Brian Flores defense, and they look legit with a guy that bounced around the league, was available multiple times to all teams, and everybody that had a high draft grade on him was like, see, I told you can do it.
It only took 7 years when
Right.
we got here.
Never wrong, just early. One quick note, and then we'll get back to the show. We're finally starting the fall season, which means lots of family events, holidays, and football Sundays with friends. And you want to look good when you go to all these events, I hope. And that's where Manscaped comes in. I don't own many grooming products, but when you want to take care of yourself and look good, Manscaped has what you need to do it. You don't have to go out and start shopping for individual products or even put together a list. They've got it all for you in one place in the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, and it's the easiest thing ever. In the Performance Package, you get the Lawnmower 5.0 trimmer, the Weed Whacker 2.0 for ear and nose hair trimming, the Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion, the Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant, and of course, the comfy Manscaped boxers and a Shed toiletry bag so you can take it all with you on the road when you travel. Check out all of those and more at manscaped.com. And if you like anything in the entire catalog and you want to get it for yourself, you can get 20% off plus free shipping with the code BOOTLEG at manscaped.com. Again, that's 20% off plus free shipping with the promo code BOOTLEG at manscaped.com. Thank you to Manscaped for partnering with us once again. And with that, let's get back to the show.
You brought up Herbert, you brought up Darnold, you brought up Baker. I'd also throw Geno into that mix, although Geno's been doing it for a few years now,
3 years,
honestly. So I think we've kind of well established, like, oh yeah, Geno, he just needed to find the right spot, and he found the right spot. Even though the offensive line hasn't always been great in Seattle, when you have the receivers he has, and now he's got Grubb, and the run game for the most part has been just like a bruising ground and pound, typical Seattle attack. Plus he has a defense now. Like, situation's good. Seattle's had a couple ugly wins here and there, but like they're winning and Geno's playing well. Cool, great. I would throw Carr in there too, although Carr does have a history of starting hot and then you take like a couple of the wrong injuries and things fall apart. Typically, it's like offensive line injuries, which of course the Saints have had a couple offensive line injuries, and so we'll see how long this holds up. But like again, you give Carr good protection in the first few weeks, and he's got receivers with Olave and Shaheed, and you got Kamara. Like, got a good OC. It's working.
Yep.
Right? Good situation. And Herbert, once they get their actual offensive line back, because they were 60% different offensive line starters this week, and still almost beat the Chiefs. Like, yes, he will improve as well.
Yep.
So that is the kind of overarching theme that we've noticed around the league, both for veteran quarterbacks as well as elite quarterbacks, is that situation matters. I would also say situation for rookies has mattered a lot. And I mean like a lot, because you look at the difference between Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb. Not that Bo Nix was the same caliber of prospect as the other two, but the situations between what Bo has versus Jaden and Caleb. Let's just say he's got third place out of those three. I'm trying to be very nice about it here. But he's got an offense that is very complicated, very wordy. We've seen all the examples of him trying to like spit the play calls out, and they're 30 words long, and he's got the wristband. He's trying to figure out what's going. Like, it's not a very rookie-friendly offensive system. Any quarterback that's played for Sean could tell you it's really not friendly for anybody unless you're Drew Brees and you're a human computer. You compare that to, say, Jaden Daniels with Cliff. Not that it's a simple offense, but it's streamlined, and it's been tailored to help him as much as possible.
Custom tailored.
Tailored.
Custom suit, custom tailored.
High screen rate, high RPO rate, high play action rate. It still had, we talked about coming into this week how they were like the 8th worst pressure percentage allowed on true drop back passes. They were 10th worst this week, just in week 4. It was like 36% pressure rate. Again, not the worst, but not good. But they still managed to keep those number of pressured true dropbacks as low as possible, just with the nature of the system.
Yep.
And then trusting that Jaden can execute on those few drop back passes, which he has. Again, you compare that to Bo Nix, not Joe Nix, Bo Nix.
Joe Nix. Average Joe Nix.
And it's harder on him.
Mm-hmm.
The run game's been inconsistent. The offense is hard to digest. Like, the defense has been keeping him in it, and like they won. And again, weather is a factor. I know Broncos fans are going to kill us for this, but if you watch Bo in that game, there was how many throws that he threw high and just straight up
like 5 that were
zinged it.
Yeah, true overthrows.
So it's not like he's played amazing either, but he's also in a situation that is tougher to play amazing in compared to Jaden, compared to, I would even say, Caleb.
Sure.
Which is saying a lot, because Caleb's offensive line is bad, but they finally ran the ball. Yep. They finally relieved the pressure. They played good defense, and all of a sudden Caleb looked great. Who knew? So again, I just think with these rookies, situation is everything, and very clearly to me, a couple of these rookies have way better situations than Bo.
Yeah, Bo's situation is difficult. And to all the Broncos fans out there that have wanted us to talk about the Broncos, I'm going to give Bo credit. It's extremely difficult to be a rookie quarterback in this league, period. It's very difficult to be a rookie under Sean Payton. He is riding a defense that's playing extremely well. They're giving up less than 14 points a game. They are playing the lights out. Vance Joseph's come a long ways on defense, and they are stifling people. It is hard to get wins in this league. It is hard to get to 2-2. Has Bo Nix like earned them, or is he the major ingredient? He's not, but he's got that team at 2-2 as a rookie starter. That's tough to do. I'm going to credit him for that. I think there's still more growth there. I absolutely think there's some streamlining. He'll get over the rookie bumps, and we'll actually see who he is as a player sort of down the road. But as a start, it's impressive. Jaden Daniels, on the other hand, is beyond impressive. I had him as my number 2 quarterback. He lands in a situation where, again, the offense is custom tailored to him. It takes him a couple weeks to get going, but this stat I shared with you earlier, and you looked at me like I had horns growing out of my head.
It's so stupid.
This is a bonkers stat for a guy that looks at NFL stats for a living. Jaden Daniels has led the Commander on more scoring drives, 23, than he has incompletions on the season, 19.
I don't even know how that's possible.
It seems, from an efficiency standpoint, completely impossible. Like that doesn't seem like a real stat. It seems like a made up stat. It's not. Let's just talk about most first downs in the NFL for all players. Who's made the most first downs? It's Jaden Daniels, 63. Brock Purdy has 62. Baker and Jalen Hurts have 59. Lamar Jackson, 58. And CJ Stroud, who we love, 57. So 4 starts in, again, rookie quarterback, all the same things apply. It's very difficult to win in this league. Everything else, wildly, crazily, like alien-like efficiency. The most first downs in the NFL, adding explosive plays, not running himself into a brick wall, throwing over the middle of the field more, like just basically attacking everything aggressively in a scouting report that was like, well, maybe, and I'm worried about. And 4 weeks in, you're like, I legitimately think that they could win the division. Like they're leading it right now, but I think they could hold on.
They look like the best team in the division.
Unreal.
And they have actual flaws on the team. Like we talked
Yes.
about them last week. Like their corner room is not that great. Like they were forced into being a very, very, very cover 2 heavy defense, like more so than any other team in the league, or playing quarter half. Like anything that involves a half field safety, they were forced into doing that because they're so beleaguered. Is that the right word? At corner, like especially outside corner, they have like 3 nickels, but they don't have any of those nickels that could also play outside. So like they have flaws on the team, but Jaden's been so good that it hasn't really killed them yet because you can't get him off the field.
Didn't punt for 2.5 games. Finally punted this week.
Once.
In terms of overall accuracy or completion percentage over the first 4 games of a rookie's career, best in NFL history. Like NFL's been around a long time, folks. Best in NFL history. It is an unreal start for an incredibly talented player. Situation matters. Would that have happened if he, say, had landed in Denver or with the Raiders? Like, I don't think so. I really don't. Would he still be a good and impactful and explosive player? Yes. Would he be having this level of success with those teams? Not yet is my answer.
He's just been amazing. I do want to touch on the throwing over the middle stuff because that was the one. And again, this was not like he's going to fail because of. It's just when you go through draft season, we give our thoughts on areas that can be improved, and every single one of these quarterback prospects had them. Caleb playing hero ball and making dumb mistakes. Like that was the area of improvement, which he has, by the way. In fact, some would argue he needs to play hero ball like a little bit more. but like Caleb is really going out of his way to be like, I am the in structure, in pocket guy, and he's proving that he can do that, and he's been very good at it. Jaden's area of improvement was just pulling the trigger on throws over the middle. Like that was an offense at LSU that was, I would say, over reliant on I have BTJ over here, I have Malik over here. Let's just call the touchdown play where they run fades and we score. Like that they did that every single week, and it worked because you have the two, like you have the best 1-2 receiver punch in college football that existed, right?
Yep.
And so the criticism, if you can even call it a criticism, was like there was also a bunch of throws there over the middle that he just didn't take.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't because, or it wasn't like a, oh, he can't do it. It's like, we just want to see him do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the NFL where the hashes are narrower. And so you're forced to live and die by working the middle of the field. Like you can only get by working, outside the numbers or outside the hashes for so long. It eventually caught up to Russ. Some weeks it really catches up to Kyler, but there's very few NFL quarterbacks that entirely make their living without working the middle of the field. And so we're like, okay, when you go up a level and you have to do it, can he do it? He's been phenomenal at it. And you saw some of the throws he made this week. And I know it's not like a normal throw, but it's a 2-point conversion. So it's not like, again, you judge it differently. But that 2-point conversion that he threw,
Mm-hmm.
like just grazing the linebacker's fingertips, and like he dropped it kind of like low and away. That's a hard throw. That is a really hard throw, and it's over the middle. He hit a couple dagger shots. He's throwing, seam balls that he's just phenomenal. And the fact that he's working that area of the field immediately as a pro,
Mm-hmm.
like immediately as a pro, it makes me think, okay, it wasn't that he couldn't do it in
Correct.
college. It was that I really don't want to turn the ball over. And I know we can come back to the line of scrimmage on the next play, and I can take a shot to the sideline, and it's probably going to be complete because I'm Jaden Daniels and that's Malik Neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more just about like not wanting to turn the ball over in college than it was about not being able to see it. But you don't really know that until you get to the NFL and you see that he can do it. So I would say, I know I'm rambling here, but I would say like that's my biggest holy crap, moment with Jaden is that that's the thing. That was the one thing that we needed to see, and he's doing it. And I don't have anything else. I don't have any other criticisms. I don't have any other like areas of improvement. His pressure to sack ratio, like all that stuff, didn't matter. He had 13 dropbacks under pressure. He went 10 of 10 for like 96 yards. He got 5 first downs. Like, what else is there? There's not anything else.
Yeah, this is the Happy Gilmore moment. Happy learned how to putt.
Jaden learned how to
Uh-oh.
throw a dig.
And everybody's like, wait a minute. He's played exceptionally well. If there's the tiniest, nit to pick, which is extremely hard with the level of play he's put up already, it's that he's still see it, throw it on some throws. He's still waiting until it's open and then drilling it. But as far as the middle of the field stuff, I think in college, you're right. He could just wait. He's like, I don't care if we get to 3rd and 18 because I'm going to throw a touchdown over the top on a bang 7. So who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. I can just get it back. And when you get to the pros, that margin is smaller and you're not going to make all those throws. So you are going to have to get to 2nd and short, keep yourself, ahead of the sticks. And to do that, you're going to have to hit some of those sort of more mundane throws over the middle. He's doing it. Yeah, his anticipation isn't all the way there on all the throws, but it's so good on the ones that he's throwing down the field. He hasn't made it matter yet. In terms of Caleb, we touched on him. We need to touch on him again. His ratings through the first 4 weeks, and this is courtesy of my buddy Brendan Shagrew in Chicago. First 2 weeks, 55 and 51. The last 2 weeks, 80 and 106, which is exactly what you want to see from a young quarterback settling in and figuring it out in the NFL. So his first 2 starts averaged out to 53, his last 2, 93. And you can see that on the field. It passes the eye test. This isn't just stat watching. He is playing better over the last 2 weeks. He is coming into his own. He's starting to understand. The offensive line play has not improved. They were abysmal yesterday against the Rams. Like, if you look at the offensive line, yes, they ran the ball better. That absolutely helps any young quarterback. And DeAndre Swift suddenly looked like a guy that was worth signing for
Yeah,
the
I
first
benched
time.
him in fantasy. Like, of course he looked better.
It's on you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, by the way. I really do. But the offensive line hasn't gotten better, but Caleb has gotten better within the structure and what he has to do, not making mistakes, pulling the trigger when he needs to. And we're seeing that growth. And that's exactly what you want to see as the fan of a team with a rookie, highly drafted rookie quarterback, is that improvement. Because lots of people before the season had these hyperbolic expectations for Chicago. Oh, people were saying Super Bowl. And I was like, Playoffs would
Nick,
be
right? I love you, but
yeah.
we gotta slow down a little bit.
Playoffs would be nice. Like if that happens, that would be great. But most people who watched this team for a long time and knew what Caleb was and the importance of that pick to the franchise were saying if Caleb develops and becomes a legitimate, top half NFL starter, that's the most important thing for Chicago this year. And I think people kind of reset to that maybe over the first couple of weeks. And now that we're seeing like distinct evidence, both in the numbers and in the tape, that's the best possible thing. Is he the best rookie quarterback right now? No way. Is he playing at a level that he needs to help this team win? He is. And again, in a little bit of a twisted but different way, like Justin Herbert, as they build out the offensive line and give him some moments where he doesn't have to run for his life. Again, their pressure percentage was around 50% for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, not great.
Yeah, every other drop back, he was running for his life. No quarterback's going to succeed very well in that. Again, it hasn't gotten a lot better. It's gotten a little bit better, but it hasn't gotten a lot better. He's playing better, even though he is adjusting to the league, to the speed, to his teammates. Has he got everything figured out? Absolutely not. There's still plays he's leaving on the field. Like there's a lot of room for improvement in Chicago, but we've seen the improvement in him as a player, and that's the most important thing.
I want to talk about the DJ Moore touchdown specifically because if you're watching that throw, I mean, first things first, he put that ball not even in a shoebox, like that was in a teacup.
He put it in an ear hole, is what he did.
Unreal throw.
Yeah.
In a compressed pocket. Again, we talk about how the offensive line in terms of pass protection wasn't like amazing. And I'm being generous.
Wildly generous.
Wasn't great, right? So a lot of pressure, but he just stood tall as Caleb can. He's not the tallest guy, but he stood tall in a very, very compressed pocket, and he threw a ball with touch, timing, and anticipation to a receiver that was not open when he started that release. He's like, I'm just going to put it to a spot. I'm going to trust DJ to get it. And he got it. And it was a very Drew Brees-ish type of throw. And what's amazing to me is over the first 4 weeks of the season, as we've seen Caleb's play style evolve into being more of that point guard distributor, like I have to get the ball out as quick as I can because the pass pro isn't good. And while, yes, I could do a bunch of like magician stuff in college, these NFL athletes are way better. Like I can't rely on that either. So he's really trying his best to not be Zach Wilson, who tried to Zach Wilson his way out of those situations with the Jets. So he's trying to just be like the get it out quick, Joe Burrow type distributor. But the way he's kind of remade his play style has transformed his comp for a lot of people from, oh, he looks kind of Patrick Mahomesy to, oh, he looks kind of Drew Breesy. And I'll be honest, I prefer the Drew Brees-ish type Caleb Williams because that's sustainable. Even Mahomes got away from being Mahomesy after the first few years, and he became more of the just get it out quick, distribute the ball, win with yak, be efficient. I'll put on the cape 4 to 5 plays in a game, which he did against the Chargers too, by the way. Like that little, scramble, pump fake, get the guy to jump, then take like he'll do that to you, and that's why they're winning. But Caleb is very much modeling himself off of like it's 2009 and we got to get the ball out in 2.4 seconds. And that's good. That's what he should be doing. And the Bears are winning. Well, sometimes because of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's growth. That's growth. That is what gives me hope for him, is that he is not trying to do the USC thing. He's not trying to do the Zach Wilson thing. He's trying to do the Joe Burrow, Drew Brees thing. And that works.
Yeah, and he's got a skill set that is somewhat greater than both those guys in certain areas and still needs to be developed in many areas to get to those guys' level. And he's starting to develop those things, which is going to match up with his gifts. And it's, again, we talk about situation. We started the podcast off talking about quarterback situation, and that was the situation in KC for the first year. Is we don't want to legislate the Mahomes, Superman moments out, But Andy's rule was you're mine for 2.5 seconds, and after that, do whatever the hell you want.
Mhm.
But for 2.5 seconds, you need to play the way I need you to play. You need to see the field the way I see it. You need to go through the progressions the way I go through it. And then, if that doesn't work, sure, just run around and do
Do
your
your
Mahomes
thing.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And Caleb's taken that and sort of compressed it even more. So it's like you said, 2.4 seconds. It's even faster. And he's taking 6-yard checkdowns to the tight end. Okay, great.
So overall, again, theme of the week, theme of the month is situation and structure over everything. Yes, you have to be talented. Yes, you have to make the throws. You have to be accurate. You have to be good under pressure, all that kind of stuff. But the situation and the structure is what determines how often you have to do that stuff. There are some quarterbacks that can do it a lot and they win the Super Bowl every year. There's some quarterbacks that can do it enough times, but the structure prevents them from having to do it too much. They're leading all their divisions in the NFC. And then there's, the rare rookies that when lightning strikes in the exact right spot at the exact right time and they go to the right structure, they look like Jaden Daniels. So you never really know
No.
until you see it in the league. That's why, quarterback hit rates in the first round are like 30 to 40% because you, honest to God, do not know. College football and the NFL are very different. The rules are different. The field markings are different. The space is different. The pace is different. The speed is different. And that's kind of what makes it fun is that there's always this great mystery of who's going to work and who's going to not work, who's going to not work. But so far, at least pick number 1 and pick number 2 look like they're going to work. We still haven't seen pick number 8. We still haven't seen pick number, where'd JJ go? 10.
Yeah.
And pick number 12 is going through it a little bit, but I still, again, you plot Bo Nix in Washington, and he's probably looking a lot better than he is right now, too. So, again, I haven't lost faith in Bo. I just acknowledge that it's a tough place to be a rookie in Denver. Again, early returns on this quarterback class are good, but situation matters, folks. That is the theme of the day. And hopefully, by now, seeing what all these quarterbacks have done, we've figured that out.
Yeah, and we'll keep it in mind during draft season, right? Everybody will be reasonable.
Okay, sure.
No, not going to happen. But it is important to remember that you can have a scouting report on somebody. You can believe that they have certain attributes that they can bring to bear, would be useful moving to the pro game. They may or may not get to be showcased depending on the sort of combination. It is a puzzle, right? You need a good system. You need a good structure. You need coaches that understand what that player needs. And then that player needs to stay healthy, not be shell-shocked when they get to a place where they're not just the best player on the field like they've always been. And there's a lot that goes into it. It's mix and stir, and then you throw in luck and situation and which division they get dropped into and what their schedule is that year and, whether or not they get sick and just any other number of things. And that's why it's an imperfect science. It's fun, but you can, again, come back around on guys like Darnold and Baker and Geno and say, see, the things I saw are still there. Somebody believed, somebody unlocked those things, and now we as football fans get to see much better football out of those guys after pretty long treks through the wilderness for most of them.
I just really want Sean to run an offense that wasn't from 2013. Like, that's all I want.
Well, talk to Pete Carmichael.
I know. Oh, that's right. He's there too.
Correct. So if you're wondering,
see what we're talking about, Broncos fans, like it's how do you throw a rookie into an offense run by Pete Carmichael and be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be fine. This is great. This is good stuff.
We talked about both guys that were touched by Carmichael in the last couple of years. Like Derek Carr looks amazingly better under Clint Kubiak, and Bo Nix is going through it under Pete Carmichael. And you're like, if those roles were reversed, how would that look? I don't know, but it'd be interesting to see, and it wouldn't look the same.
Poor Bo. He's really talented too. I like Bo a lot.
He's a tough kid, and he's got resilience, which is, if any of these quarterbacks were going to be in that situation, and this is what everybody said pre-draft, this is not a new take. Like, if anybody can handle it, it's Bo Nix. He's been playing college football for 6 years in high-pressure environments. He's a, former quarterback and coach's kid. Like, he's gonna understand the like Sean Payton heavy-handed coaching bit. And we didn't say it was gonna be easy or perfect, but I do still think he's probably the least likely to break of the top six under that environment.
I mean, yeah, you put McCarthy in Denver right now, and I love JJ to death. Super talented kid, great kid. But with his overall lack of experience, you put him in Denver right now, and I'm sure we'd be seeing similar stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas if you put Bo in Minnesota, I'm not saying he'd play as well as Darnold is right now, but probably look a little bit different.
It would not look the same.
Yeah. All right, fun little quick show today. Obviously we couldn't talk about a ton of different games because EJ and I were in SoFi for half the day yesterday watching Jesse Minter just cook up an absolute masterclass of a defense that ended up, unfortunately, not
Falling
getting enough
just a bit
support to
short.
win the game. Jesse Minter, by the way, is fucking amazing. Oh my God, he's so good. He's only going to be in LA for a couple years, and then somebody's going to make him a head coach, but he is so good. And if the Chargers just had, I don't know, not 6 starters out, they very well could have won that game. So we'll see if they get him back in KC. But, because we were in SoFi watching Minter's masterclass, we did not get to see every single game. So we didn't get to talk about every single game. But we're going to make that up to you with our Friday preview show. We're going to add a little bit extra onto there after we review these games, so we can talk a little bit about what happened in Week 4, but then use that as context to preview more games in Week 5 and try to make it up to you guys that way. Make sure to come back on Thursday, by the way. Speaking of Baker Mayfield, it is a Tampa versus Atlanta TNF game for the division lead in the NFC South. So this is a fun one. 2 good teams. Tampa's one of the best in the NFC so far this season. The defense is firing on all cylinders. Baker's firing on all cylinders. They just beat the absolute tar out of Philly this week. So it's going to be fun to talk about them. Going to be fun to touch on Atlanta. Make sure to come by on Thursday night for that. I don't think I have anything else. EJ, any parting words?
No, bye. Gotta get in the car.
Yeah, EJ's got to go brave the valley right now. So I will see you guys in a few days. And until then,